The 1970s are often remembered for the high-concept brilliance of Pink Floyd, the glitter-drenched glam of David Bowie, or the gritty birth of punk. But if you actually lived through the decade, your radio wasn't just playing Bohemian Rhapsody. It was frequently playing songs about ducks, naked runners, and truckers talking to each other on CB radios. The Novelty song became a powerhouse in the 70s. These were tracks designed to be jokes, catchy, silly, and often completely absurd. Yet, against all logic, they didn't just linger in the bargain bins. They climbed to the very top of the global charts, outselling serious artists and becoming cultural phenomena. Here is the deep dive into the 10 unbelievable joke songs that defined the era. The Streak by Ray Stevens, 1974. The fad that stripped the charts bare. In early 1974, a strange craze swept through college campuses and sporting events, streaking. It involved running naked through a public place for a few seconds of notoriety. While most people saw it as a nuisance, Ray Stevens saw a gold record. Stevens was already a master of the novelty genre, but The Streak was his masterpiece. The song features a fast-talking narrator spotting a naked man in various locations, a supermarket, a gas station, and a basketball game. The recurring hook, look at that, became a national playground chant. What made the song a hit wasn't just the humor, it was the production. Stevens included mock on-the-scene news reports where he interviewed a frantic witness, played by himself, whose wife Ethel was constantly being exposed to the streaker. It hit #1 in the US and UK, proving that in 1974 there was nothing funnier than a man losing his clothes in public.
Oh, yes, they call him the Streak.
Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas, 1974.
There was funky Chinaman from funky Chinatown.
The 10-Minute Mistake. Kung Fu Fighting is one of the most recognizable songs in history, but it was never meant to be a hit. In fact, it was recorded in just 10 minutes at the very end of a recording session. It was intended to be the B-side, the filler song on the back of a record that nobody is supposed to listen to. Carl Douglas and producer Biddu were trying to capitalize on the massive explosion of martial arts cinema, specifically the craze surrounding Bruce Lee. When the record label heard the B-side, they realized it was far better than the main track. With its iconic "hoo, ha" vocalizations and oriental riff, which has since been criticized as a stereotype but was ubiquitous at the time, the song exploded. It sold 11 million copies, making it one of the best-selling singles of all time and a permanent fixture at every wedding reception since. Disco Duck by Rick Dees and his Cast of Idiots, 1976. The song the critics hated and the public loved. If you want to know how weird the 70s got, look no further than Rick Dees. A Memphis DJ at the time, Dees wrote a song about a man who goes to a party and suddenly starts acting like a duck. He used a Donald Duck-style voice for the chorus, mixed it with a standard disco beat, and waited for the laughs. The laughs turned into dollar signs. Despite being blacklisted by many radio stations who thought it was beneath them, and being loathed by music critics who saw it as the death of art, Disco Duck soared to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It even earned Dees a People's Choice Award. It remains the ultimate example of a joke song that became a legitimate commercial juggernaut.
But there's no stopping a duck in his beak.
Convoy by C.W. McCall, 1975.
For broke with 1,000 screaming trucks and 11 long-haired friends of Jesus.
The CB radio revolution. In the mid-70s, the U.S. was obsessed with truck drivers. Between the oil crisis and the new 55-mile-per-hour speed limit, truckers became folk heroes of the highway. C.W. McCall, a character created by an advertising executive named Bill Friss, tapped into this by writing Convoy. The song is almost entirely spoken word over a country rock chug. It's filled with CB radio jargon like Rubber Duck to Pigpen, 10-4, and Breaker 19. It told a story of a massive rebel fleet of trucks crossing the USA. The public went wild for it. It hit #1 on both the country and pop charts and was so influential that it actually caused a massive spike in CB radio sales and inspired a 1978 action movie starring Chris Christopherson. King Tut by Steve Martin, 1978.
People stand in line to see the boy King. King Tut.
Comedians on the charts. When the Treasures of Tutankhamun toured the United States in the late 70s, Tut mania was everywhere. Steve Martin, then the biggest stand-up comedian on the planet, decided to mock the commercialization of the Boy King on Saturday Night Live. Decked out in an Egyptian headdress with a backing band called the Tutankhamons, Martin performed a catchy, funky tribute to the pharaoh. Lyrics like "Born in Arizona, moved to Babylonia" were sheer nonsense, but the song was so infectious that it was released as a single. It reached #17 on the Billboard Hot 100, proving that Steve Martin could sell 1 million records just by making fun of a museum exhibit.
Now when I die, I don't think I'm a nut. Don't want no
6. My Dingling by Chuck Berry, 1972.
but held on to my dingling.
A rock legend's oddest achievement. Chuck Berry is the architect of rock and roll. He wrote Johnny B. Good and Maybelline. However, his only #1 hit was a live recording of a dirty nursery rhyme about a boy playing with his dingling. Recorded at a festival in England, the song relies on a simple sing-along format and heavy double entendres. It was a joke song in Berry's repertoire for years, but when it was released as a single, it became a global smash. Many fans were horrified that a pioneer of the genre would be remembered for a song about his dingling, but the public's love for a naughty joke was too strong to ignore.
Who will not sing? You must be playing with your own.
7. Short People by Randy Newman, 1977.
Short people are just the same as you and I.
The satire that missed its mark. Randy Newman is known for his biting irony, but with Short People, he learned that some people don't get the joke. The song, which features lyrics like "Short people got no reason to live," was intended to be a satire of senseless prejudice, using short people as a ridiculous stand-in for any group that faces bigotry. The joke was so well delivered that many people, mostly short people, took it literally. There were protests and attempts to ban the song from the radio. The controversy only fueled its success, propelling it to #2 on the charts. It remains one of the most misunderstood hits in music history.
Every time, well, I don't want no stone.
8. YMCA by Village People, 1978.
Someone came up to me and said, "Young man, take a walk up the street."
The campy joke that won the world. The Village People were a manufactured group designed to appeal to the disco crowd while winking at the gay subculture of New York City. YMCA was written as a campy, tongue-in-cheek ode to the Young Men's Christian Association as a place for hangouts. While the group saw it as a fun, light-hearted track, the world saw it as the ultimate party anthem. It didn't matter if people got the joke or not. The catchy brass and the easy-to-learn dance moves, the YMCA arm signals, made it a global #1 hit. Today, it is played at almost every major sporting event and wedding on Earth. 8. Star Wars theme Cantina Band by Mecco, 1977. Sci-fi meets the dance floor. When Star Wars took over the world in 1977, producer Mecco Monardo had a crazy idea. What if John Williams' epic orchestral score was turned into a disco track? It sounds like a joke, combining laser sounds, R2-D2 beeps, and a heavy 4/4 disco beat with the iconic theme. But the result was a space disco masterpiece. It reached #1 on the Billboard charts, actually outperforming the original soundtrack sales for a time. It remains a bizarre, high-energy time capsule of 1977. 10. The Birdie Song, The Chicken Dance, The Joke That Won't Die. While the Birdie Song, often known as the Chicken Dance, peaked in various forms throughout the late 70s and early 80s, most notably by the Tweets, its origins lie in the mid-70s accordion music of Switzerland. It is, by all accounts, a joke. It's a repetitive, squeaky melody designed for people to act like birds. Yet it became a massive hit across Europe and eventually the world. It is the ultimate novelty song, one that defies all logic, carries no deep meaning, and yet is known by almost every human being alive. The success of these tracks tells us a lot about the decade. The 70s were a time of massive social change and economic tension. In a world of Cold Wars and gas lines, people wanted to laugh. Whether it was a disco-dancing duck or a comedian singing about mummies, these songs provided a much-needed release. They proved that sometimes the world doesn't want a masterpiece, it just wants a punchline you can dance to.